We've been to 7 speed domes so far this season, but tonight we change gears as we head to the narrow, the tricky and the very different Brands Hatch circuit for round 8 of the Apex Racing League GT3 trophy. I'm Sam Fitzpatrick. I do not have Tim Cox alongside me tonight. Do not fret, he'll be around for the next round of the championship in a couple of weeks' time. And we are just a few moments away from going live for this round of the championship. And into qualifying and into the race as well. But let's check out what the tracks have been that we've visited so far this season as we head into, well and truly, the second half of the season. And this Brands Hatch circuit is certainly a very different one to what we've visited before. Incredible high speed so far, 200 plus miles an hour. We are not going to be getting near that tonight as we head to Kent for round 8 of the season. And this, of course, is going to be part of our B format races as well. We've got a couple of races, a 25-minute race 1 and a 30-minute race 2. Proper sprint formats for the drivers to get their teeth into. No fuel restrictions, you've got to do it all on the circuit. And excitingly as well, race 2 with a 10-car reverse grid as well. And so it's going to be pivotal that the drivers can make moves around this notoriously tricky to overtake circuit. We have got, of course, only a few more rounds of the championship remaining to go. And so the championship standings are more pivotal than ever before, with just a few opportunities for the drivers to make up points from now to the end of the season. And it has been an excellent run for our Pro Series leader so far in the series, Oscar Pye, with a terrific lead after a remarkable run of form. And just a reminder as well, he has won both of the race 1s in B formats so far this season. In fact, he's won most of the races ever since a slightly poor start to the season. Paul Lang second best now, Matteo Fulini still without an overall podium, up there in 3rd position. And then in the Pro Am Championships, another man who is putting his foot down on the title, it very much looks like, is Mitchell Drysdale, the American, leading by a healthy margin after a stellar performance last time out at Bathurst, claiming a top 4 finish. And Joe Nutini losing points recently. Thomas Yaz not too far behind him now in 3rd position. And in the Amateur Championship as well, probably the closest of the 3 of them, due to the massive swings in points that we can often see in the Amateur Championship. We had some stellar performances last time out in the amateur class, with a couple of drivers being able to claim top 12 positions, certainly their best showing so far in the championship. And it's currently Salvatore Piazzese who leads the way in that one, now just 40 points ahead of Claudio Gasparini. Paul Collishaw was brilliant last time out, and Philip Russell as well has quietly been climbing the table. Do not count anyone out of that very competitive championship. And in the Teams Championship as well, Simray Sweden, after that early lead that they had, dropping back, and instead Race Anywhere Sim Sport taking a commanding lead now, and even ATK Sim Racing White moving up into 2nd position. And of course the track tonight, already given a little bit of an overview of it. It is very cohesive and very tight for these drivers to have to deal with. And of course going to be super tricky to overtake come that race 2. Heading into Paddock Hill Bend for the first time, going to be an opportunity really to make moves when the rest of the race isn't going to be such as advantageous. And then of course Druids, the best opportunity to make moves for the entire race, albeit we often see calamity as well down into the hairpin. Graham Hill, of course, into turn 3, far different to what it was a few decades ago, much tighter, and an opportunity maybe to see some side-by-side action and the drivers using all the space on the corner exit. Then they head down into turn 4, ever so tricky to pick up the right apex here, and will need that very strong exit to be able to propel themselves down what is the longest straight, if you can even call it such a thing. there is a slight kink to the right and then into probably the most fun parts of the circuit, albeit the part of the circuit that we don't always use, of course, in the Indy layout as you head into turn 5. Super high speed, especially with the high grip surface that we have here on iRacing for this build. And then turn 6 and 7, and they all flow into one another. It's tricky to really put corner names onto all of these, saying that it's constantly turning right before you eventually flick back to the left and head your run into Stirling's for the final corner. And going to be, well, really pick out any overtaking spots, honestly, because after going to so many Grand Prix circuits, so many high-speed tracks, it is a complete opposite for the Gyros tonight. And perhaps the most important qualifying of the season is going to be taking place in just a few moments' time. It's going to be certainly one to watch. And, well, I am going to head off and go visit Austin Knight, who is ready in the commentary box. And, well, we'll be bringing you through all the action for the couple of races we've got tonight.
Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
Welcome to Brands Hatch. We are now at the circuit. I am, once again, the man you were just seeing on screen, Sam Fitzpatrick, but I have alongside me Austin Knight. Austin, it is a pleasure to have you along. Thank you for stepping in for this one, and well, I think it should be a good one to jump into because this should be a very fun race, and like I was very much stressing earlier on, it's been so easy to overtake all this season, and now we get to the tightest circuits, which is commonly visited in GT3 cars.
Yeah, it's great to be here. Sadly, I wasn't able to get there to the ARTV Esports studio. Flights are not that fast as they used to be with Concorde, but hey, internet is just as fast, so happy to join y'all from America. And absolutely, Brands Hatch and GT3, they mix like honey and biscuits. It is such a good combination.
It really is, and I think a very tricky combination, I would say, Austin. I don't think there's necessarily an easy car to drive around here, but I think in these GT3 cars, you know, we've got the luxury of traction control and ABS, but I'd say the most tricky thing about this circuit is keeping it within the perimeter, keeping your tyres off the grass, because I think the most common mistake is dipping a wheel onto the grass and looping around.
Absolutely. We've all been there. We've all done that. The exit of Druids, Graham Hill Bend, Surtees, Hawthorne Bend, Westfield Bend, just every single corner has a risk of you just going just a little bit too wide, putting a little bit too much wheel on the grass, putting in a little bit too much mustard, and into the wall you'll go. As I believe we just saw one car exiting Graham Hill Bend demonstrate that right there.
We are just a few minutes away from the end of qualifying, and like I said, possibly the most important qualifying of the season. Oscar Pye isn't necessarily the best qualifier. Certainly at the start of the season, it wasn't his forte. However, he usually comes to the top, but it will be more tricky to do that tonight. Currently, Paul Lang leading the way. He has been in better form, Lang. He's an excellent driver, and remember, won round 1 of the championship as well. In that 1-2 for a race anyway, which really was quite an ominous sign for the opposition in round 1. Hasn't gone their way since, and Lang has had a monumental level of unluckiness really. But it's good to see him actually be able to drive a clean race seemingly tonight. And, well, if he can keep it clean, he's going to be right up there. Mitchell Drysdale continuing his great form. We weren't sure if the Ferrari was going to be strong around here, but Austin, he has proved the critics wrong. And, well, he's performing brilliantly up there in the top 3 as a Pro-Am. Also crashing.
Yeah, I believe you just commented his cursor right there, so that one's on you. But as we were just about to say, the Ferrari throughout the season has kind of been painted as the easiest car to drive, but also the slowest GT3 to drive. But Mitchell is certainly proving all the critics wrong right here with a P3 currently right now. And also just saying that Ferraris, if you know how to drive them, they can get really, really fast. They might be easy to drive, but they're hard to master.
When you said that he'd proven the skeptics wrong, I think, yeah, not only has he gone fast, but he's also crashed as well. So he's proving that it's just not the easiest car to drive in the world, at least not at this circuit.
The limits.
He's pushing the limits. Peter Lemkins improving in 17th. Currently, Peter Zeze has become the norm at the top of the AMs, albeit he did not have a good Bathurst round, and he's invited a couple of drivers back into the championship race. Schwartz moves up into 4th position, so Race Anywhere having a couple of drivers now in the top 4. Good to see Will Dames as well back after that very unlucky Bathurst incident where he collided with a back marker. No control over that one, but yeah, Race Anywhere with 3 drivers in the top 6. That is where they want to be positioned. And yeah, also want to be in the top 10. Desperately want to be in the top 10. Matteo Fellini currently occupying that 10th place and across the top 10 after race 1 get inverted for the grid for race 2. Florian Renault out there trying to do as best as he possibly can at the moment, trying to get up the order, and yeah, desperately trying to put in a lap, which he has not done yet. So, well, I don't think he's going to have time, honestly. I don't think the timer is going to just tick down, but it might be close.
It will be close. He's got a minute left, but this is his 10th lap for Florian right now. All previous laps have been invalidated, so Florian Renault, it's going to be an uphill battle for him, as he is one of 4 cars that have not set a valid lap time here today. The other car is PJC, Paul Joseph Clist, who hasn't set a valid lap time. We also do have 2 signups that have not even set a lap time here in qualifying. But yeah, it's going to be looking as a uphill battle for Florian right now. If he does not get across the line, he's got 15 seconds left.
I don't think he's going to. He's pushing the limits as well there. By the way, we have got James Hall with a qualifying ban, but I don't think he's doing this race.
He's not in the sun.
Chris Gooch, Paul Collishaw, and Egidijus Kasaroskis. As the Czech flag is out, he's not going to make it.
Aww.
Nowhere near. Nowhere near. There's no over day. Well, honestly, if Florian...
It's about 100 yards.
This is maybe a bit harsh, but if Florian was faster, he may have actually reached the line. So it was very much pole or nothing. Either he was going to do the best lap anyone's ever done at Brands Hatch, or he wasn't going to set a lap time at all. So disappointing there for him. Paul Lang at the top of the standings then. I think that might be his first pole position of the season. Maybe Spa, he took pole as well, but still some performance from Paul right there. Oscar Pai dominating the championship. If Lang can win this one though, and Pai has a poor round, maybe we could see it open up with 4 rounds of the championship to go after tonight. Then it's Davide Tricoli, Will Dames, Mitchell Drysdale top of the Prams. He did slip down a little bit near the end there, but still strong for him. Frederick Schwartz rounds out a very strong qualifying for Race Anywhere. Then it's Haldas Yatortas, David Sampson, good to see him up there. I was watching him do a stream at Interlagos, so only about an hour ago, so he's adapted very well to this Brands Hatch circuit. Then it's Andrea Nutini, Matteo Fellini in that coveted P10 place. He'll be trying to keep that if he possibly can. Tommy Molliord starts in 11th place. Then it's Jensen Adjansons in 12th. Thomas Yaz, Salvatore Piazzese once again top of the AMS. Then it's Marco Bizzaglia, Andrea Panini, Federico Elli, rounding out a very high-intensity Italian portion of the grid. Then we've got a couple of Belgians, Lemkins and De Boiver. Then it's Daniel Zanon, Salvatore Trani, Swansois Perdru, Philip Brossel, Michele Gabrielli in 24th. Then it is Filippo Puccetti, Claudio Gasparini, Dirk Boutz, Christian Engelhardt, Gus Franken, Paul Collishaw, Florian Renault, PJC, and Egidijus Kasaroskis rounding out the order. Kasarovskis having a pit lane start for both races, so you'll have some catching up to do once we get green, and well, the field is just pulling away, Austin.
Yep, field is all set, ready to rock and roll here as they're set behind the pace car and getting rolling right now. It's a short pit lane short rolling start here, so the grid is going to have to get really stacked up after this little accordion effect right now as they head through Sterling's and out into the clearways.
Yes, gonna be now. Let's see if they go one wide. Will they go two wide? How long can they keep that up? Can we have a clean start? Race 1 then of the evening is about to get underway. Round 8 of the Apex Racing League GT3 trophy. The green flag is out and we are away. It's not a good start for Oscar Pye. It's an excellent start, however, for Paul Lang, who leads into turn 1. There goes Chicoli trying to get underneath Oscar Pye heading into turn 1. He wasn't quite able to do it. Behind them, top 8 all in the same order, albeit we do have a little bit of side-by-side. Coming under big pressure there is Will Danes from Mitchell Drysdale, but Drysdale backing out of it. Also under pressure was Frederick Schwartz, but he managed to hold onto that position. Great start for Jensen Adjensens. He's gained 3 places. He's gone from 12th to 9th, absolutely nailing that start. Must have got an almighty launch, and that is crucially up into the top 10. And Andrea Nutini, who started P9, he's now outside the top 10. Top 10 get reversed for race 2, and so that is a crucial start there for Jensen Adjensens to get himself in those top places.
That start was very chaotic for Will Danes and Frederick Schwartz. They went side by side, 3 wide through Paddock Hill Bend. It was Frederick Schwartz on the outside, had to get onto the brakes and dip behind David before getting back on there and putting back the attack to catch up with Will Dames. The two teammates battling with each other this early on. It's already proving a little bit of excitement right now. Also, 3 other cars moving up 3 spots in that opening lap. Adriansons as well as, well, PJC's up 4 spots now.
Yeah, wonderful start for PJC. And now we're going to find out all this scaremongering about, oh, you can't overtake around Brands Hatch. Maybe we are about to see a bunch of overtakes here at Brands Hatch, but we'll see if my hypothesis stands the test of this race 1 as the driver starts to get into a bit more of a rhythm, and yeah, we properly learn heading into Druids. This is where you can outbid an opponent, but Panini, at least that time, safe against Federico Eli.
Yeah, Ellie was right on that gearbox, but as we're looking at everybody exiting Graham Hill Bend and entering Surtees right now, this is one of the most difficult corners that I find in any cars. We go side by side as Salvatore onto the inside de Boyer, and Salvatore made that one look easy for 18th right there in that beautiful Lamborghini. As we look back at Boyer right behind him as we enter Hawthorne Bend. A little bit of a incident, I think, over the radio as one car is dropping through the field. We'll see if we can get a replay of that very soon.
Yeah, Peter Lemkins perhaps could have been the driver who was dropping down. We've also had we've got a replay now of the race start.
Look at that, immediately 3 wide. Some of the drivers deciding maybe not 3 wide lap 1 Paddock Hill Bend is a good idea, but on the exit, look at this run from that 3rd row heading into Graham Hill. Round the outside, that Lamborghini and that Ferrari is really pressuring it themselves. He's trying to go down to the inside, and he manages to get that corner. Beautiful overtake right there for Frederick Schwartz, as well as Uatis on Mitchell Drysdale.
Yeah, so Drysdale, I didn't really catch that one initially. I saw Drysdale quite cautious heading into Druids, as this is Lemkins spinning around just a moment ago. I didn't think he did. Oh, and I don't think anyone hits him. Great avoidance from those drivers who were immediately behind. But yeah, I didn't see that. Drysdale initially very cautious. He's a very smart driver as Drysdale. Definitely the right decision not to fight too much with Danes, but then that sort of put him on the back foot for those next couple of corners. And yeah, as you were saying, Austin, losing 2 places when it looked like he might gain one at one point. Chicoli backing up that good form from Bathurst last time out. These race anywhere cars, though, they look very quick. Will Dames all over the back of him. Chicoli losing the draft slowly to the cars ahead. He's still got a waft of it. But he is going to be, yeah, it's going to be a long 20 minutes for him.
Yeah, let's right on board of Tricoli right now, trying to chase down Pi and Lang as they're fighting amongst each other, well, just following each other. Right now, we got to watch out between Dames and Swartz, the two Lamborghinis chasing him down through Paddock Hill Bend. The two teammates are going to be a little bit spicy to watch as they start this attack, as this is Frederick Sports for Race Anywhere Sim Sport. His teammate, Will Dames, up ahead of him. Let's run on board of Frederick as we fly through Graham Hill Bend.
Yeah, and yeah, we can see the sort of the second half of the circuit. That's where the cut through is for the Indy circuit. But whilst it's a sort of fun circuit, the Indy circuit, I do think, Austin, the best part of this circuit is out back when you are going through the right-handers and more right-handers and more right-handers. And yeah, I love how grippy it is as well. I feel like this is one of the grippier circuits on iRacing, and you can really push these cars around here.
I'm kind of offended. You forgot to mention the other good Brands Hatch circuit, the Rallycross circuit. That's
a good shot. It is a good Rallycross circuit.
Yeah, and I'm slightly biased because it has a metal jump, and jumps are fun. And
we can all attest to that. I wanted to add a jump for this race, but apparently you can't do that in iRacing yet. But hopefully that will be a feature added at some point. We did do super trucks actually on the Indy course, and
yes.
That was excellent fun, finding some of the cut-throughs, some alternative lines. Do thoroughly recommend checking out those videos on our channel from about 18 months ago. They are hilarious stuff. Some of the best racing I've been involved in.
Some of the best commentary I've ever had, where I think that was the only broadcast where I've actually ran out of breath.
Yeah, it was quite something. Viazese top of the amateur drivers, and by such a comfortable margins, where he's up 8 places in comparison to Jeremy de Boyve. He's up 3 places compared to his race start, but frustratingly for him, he's only outside the top 10. As this was, so that was the initial mistake there from Lemkins, and then that was spinning round, and that was Florian, and then this is Zanon spinning round. And that was at Druids a few moments ago. So some mistakes from drivers still being made up.
Yeah, small mistakes can lead to big accidents around here. Just a little bit cut of the grass, a little bit of touch right there, and it's so easy to do. Like we were saying before the race, Druids is a very easy spot for that. Even if you have traction control, even if you have all these assists on your car, just one wheel can ruin your whole day. And a little bit of
closer.
Yes, that gap is closing down. Pi is right on with Paul Lang, and that Lamborghini versus that Porsche. A little bit of a small manufacturer rivalry right now, but Paul Lang.
Ooh, Fulini.
Uh-oh.
And Dames. Oh, there's going to be a crash, I think, involving, Tricoli's gone off. There's contact between them. Matteo Fulini, wow. He's the most consistent driver in the entire field as Matteo Fulini. I would have put upwards of 49, 50p on him to be able to stay in that top 10 position. And yet he's made a mistake crucially. And has dropped outside of those reverse grid pole positions. Down to 19th position, and Tricoli in all of that also dropping down 6 places. He was being overtaken by Will Dames, so Dames up into 3rd position, but Tricoli, I think, just made sort of quarter panel contact and went off at Druids.
I had a radio message of 3 wide into that corner, so I'm very excited to see what has happened in Paddock Hill Bend to cause that incident. As we were looking back at Drysdale and Sampson, and Justin Adriansons, who's pressuring Sampson through that entire right-hander section as we head through clearways. This is a great one, but Tricoli's heading into the pit lane.
You've got to be so careful not to pick up a penalty as well around this circuit. I'm surprised he needed a pit stop, Austin, because his pace seems to be alright, but he must have got
that car is grabbing just a slight bit.
Yeah. I mean, he seemed to have the pace though. He was keeping those other cars behind, but yeah, iRacing not happy with it. Oh, look at that move from Piazzese, trying to get underneath. He's already into the top 10 crucially, and we've got quite a queue of cars now behind Mitchell Drysdale, who's leading Sampson, Adjinsons, and then Piazzese trying to profit from that, trying to move up another place.
Well, all aboard the American train. I'm okay with that. Behind everybody in that Ferrari. And he has gone just a little bit wide. But everybody, Well, David Sampson is on that outside. There's going to be a drag race right now. Ferrari versus Lamborghini, but Drysdale's going to have that inside line ahead of Sampson. He comes across the nose right there and able to stay ahead as they fly through Westfield Bend, down through Dinglesdale, and into Sheens, as this is one of the most difficult corners, especially for me. Just such a blind corner as we see Sampson almost going out wide just a little bit. Drysdale actually catching the grass onto the entry, but able to keep it ahead in 6th place. And we are going to throw it to that replay at Pilgrim's Drop, and no, there is no incident. He just loses it by himself.
Yeah. Like I said, he is the most consistent driver, is Fiolini. He's finished every round so far this season, I think, between 5th and 8th. And then this was the contact between Dames and Tricoli. Dames initially sending it in, and then he wasn't exactly kind on corner exit either. Tricoli, I imagine, will be submitting a protest for that one, which the stewards will look out post-race. But, wow, that was some aggressive Joe, and that's how aggressive you have to be to make a move around him. Yeah,
he kind of got up and under him and pretty much pushed him away like he was a pitchfork, pushing a bale of hay around, and there was just full-on control with that overtake, just a little bit of a bump and a bang, and well, if you ever heard of the bump and run, that's pretty much how you do it. Unfortunately, this is not NASCAR, and you don't have an oval to save the car, so he did get a hit of the grass and did fall away from everybody else.
Yeah, it was disappointing for him right there. Oh, as we've got, I think that's PJC very slow on the inside, trying to let all these cars go as no one tries to get on the outside.
Scary.
Completely offline. And we've got a wide line as well from Thomas Yaz, who's made a mistake, and now he makes contact with Ellie. He was spinning by himself. It was Ellie all along, not Zanon, apologies. And yeah, Ellie, well, how's he survived all of that? Because he had to miss the apex initially at Sheens, avoiding PJC, and then he's spun it, but kind of got put in the right direction by Thomas Yaz.
Yeah, he's hit the back of Yaz, but he slammed onto the brakes and got himself pointed right forward again. So that car is back into operating shape and racing shape, but he has lost a lot of time to Yaz and the group ahead of him. Very hard place, hard time with PJC being a lap down right there. I would say if there is a spot that you do not want to be a lapped car, it would be in that entire back hand straight, and all those right-handers. It's just so difficult to give way to everybody else in that very tight section of racetrack. You almost just want to just park the car at a time, just be like, okay, just go, everybody. I do not want to be the one to cause an incident right there, but he kept on going, and no big incidents happened. This is between the two.
Oh, that was Schwartz spinning round, and that was PJC again on the apex, and that is how he lost out to Haraldus Utortus. So we missed that overtake initially, but yeah, that's how Utortus moved up into 4th place.
And if you don't know my famous list of worst pit lane exits, Brands Hatch is near the top.
Yes,
it's just a blind exit, and you are right on the racing line, and it's so difficult if you're a car just exiting the pits and the other cars have to go around you. And sometimes when people practice, they do not practice that outside line, that kind of loss of grip that they have out there. And with the iRacing track polishing system that is now implemented into iRacing now, especially on road courses, the track is not rubbered in on the outside right there. So it is a noticeable loss of grip when you just merge your way onto the outside right there. And the back end of that car is so easy, especially in these new GT3s, to just step out just a little bit and you'll go for a slide.
Still no change out in the lead. Lang hanging on against Pi, but Pi occasionally decreasing that gap, keeping himself very much in the mirrors of Paul Lang, albeit a slightly less intense attack than it was earlier on in the race. Quick shout out, by the way, to SDK Gaming, the providers of our overlay. Also, when you see the webcams up on screen as well, that's all provided by SDK as well. So many options for streaming and broadcasting as well as a heads-up display for whilst you are racing. This man uses it. David Samsoid on all his streams, and very much talks very highly of it. So do check out sdk-gaming.co.uk in order to get yourself a subscription. Samson having a strong round, one of his best rounds of the season so far, up there in P7 as it stands.
You know, favorite part about SDK Gaming is the fuel calculator as well as the separated class displays. when you're doing multi-class racing or single-class racing, but everybody is in a little different championship. This is a tight fight side by side through Paddock Hill Bend, heading into Druids right now. A 2:15 of gas. This is Ellie. Ellie trying to hold it around the outside, going for a little bit of switchback. Back end steps out on him, and Federico unable to keep that fight going on for multiple corners, because that was a very good attempt right there, as Tronny and Luigi behind them as swap spots through Graham Hill Bend, and I think there might have been just a little bit of side-by-side heading into there.
It's important
that move.
It's important as commentators not to get too biased towards one driver. However, when you put when you pick a driver to win the championship before the season starts, you do sort of back them slightly. And so Matteo Fulini, who I put to win the championship, I honestly thought tonight he's going to win this race. He's going to finish P10 in race 1 and then just not let anyone pass in race 2. I'm so gutted he made that mistake earlier on in the race, as Jensen Adjensson, under all kinds of pressure from Salvatore Piazzese, he has not had it easy against Piazzese. I thought Jensen would actually have the pace to pull away. In fact, on that last lap, he did pull away by quarter of a second. This has just been a rubbish lap for Adjensson, as Oscar Pai also has taken the lead of the race off Paul Lang. Lang actually making a big mistake, and that has changed things completely. There he is, he's very slow through Druids. Paul Lang, great opportunity at finally getting back onto the top step of the podium, but that mistake has cost him a race win.
Yeah, there was, in that previous shot that we were looking at, that Ferrari, there was a car off at Paddock Hill Bend going slowly. It was Paul Lang, and Lang is now sitting in third. Oscar Pai into the lead as we got side by side, and oh no! Around goes the leading amateur championship driver, Salvatore. Big slide, he's kept it going straight now, but he's going to be a sitting duck between everybody else, and that Ferrari is going to be a rough time to get that car back up to temperature, or back down to temperature, as he's got Ellie side by side diving through Westfield Bend. It's still side by side, and it's going to be another car joining the fight. It is Fujini in that Lamborghini joining the party as well.
A crazy couple of corners. We'll try to get a replay of it eventually, but this was the initial mistake then. Or was it contact? So Pai got very close. He's gone down the inside. Now, I mean, that's the classic issue here at Brands Hatch. Was he moving in the braking zone there, Lang? Or was he just taking his racing line? Because you can take an early apex there, or was he defending that move after it had already been sent by Pai? Something that the stewards will have to look at.
Pai was not alongside of him to make a valuable say that he moved over on him, but also Pai was just close enough to say that he obstructed his braking zone. So there is points for both ways, that he moved over on me or he just sent it and didn't care. I do not want to be a steward for this series. I'll happily just stay here and just talk about the race and not pass any judgment. Though, when you said you picked a driver to win the championship and all that stuff, I don't really have that, because this is my first time here, but there is one American, so I'm guessing that's the only bias I will ever have.
That's completely fair bias right there. Piazzese continues to drop down, so he's down to 15th place. I wonder if you get a replay actually of that Piazzese Adjenson's Molliord's battle from like a chopper view. Apparently already on it, as the window wipers are triggered. But it was hopefully. It's still going on with Adjensson. Adjenson's arguably having the most exciting race. This is something that I want us to do. But we've got a spinner, and that's Bizzaglia. Where's he gone? He's gone into the wall, and I think he's pointed it back in the right direction. Miracle.
Yeah, Biz went slideways pretty much, rode on that wall like it was a reel, and he was just grinding it with a snowboard. But big slide for Biz, but he's got it back up there. He did lose a good hunk of places, but he's back going again. He might have a little bit of damage on the front nose of that car, but everything right now currently seems all right, but so easy to lose it at Clark Curve. I think he's hit the inside grass, which just over-rotated the car for him, so very unfortunate spot. But hey, race 1 out of 2 races here today. So drivers who have had a bad race, hey, they can make it up. in that second race. And right now, a few of these drivers are just playing a little bit safe to make sure they can get up there right now, especially if you're in that top 10 with that reverse grid.
Yeah, that's what a lot of them are looking at. As PSAZ continues to judge. He might not even win the amateur race, PSAZ, because he's got De Boiver. Oh, as he goes wide to De Boiver. That might be a curse, I'm not quite sure. That corner certainly seems to be a heavy commentator's curse area. Has he got damage? PSAZ, I wonder. De Boiver should be fine. Haven't seen any contact with him as Adjinsons is dropping down again. Oh man, I was saying how he's the most exciting driver so far tonight, and he's keeping that up. Awful time, but they almost a similar capitulation to what we saw at Indianapolis. I think he was running P6 overall, and he was and this is very much in the same vein as that, as he's back with PSAs after that incredible battle around this part of the circuit about 5 laps ago.
I would say Justin's is exciting on and off the track, and it's so easy to go off the track right there. He's providing excitement up and down the grid. It's probably not the positive excitement that he would have wanted, but he's given himself some goals, and PSA is totally okay with that as they put another car between him and De Boer right behind him. And if I was De Boer, I'd just be kind of hoping for a little bit of a fight up ahead, as this is the fight right on him right now. De Boer is going to have to watch out for Tricoli onto the inside and making that move work very good on that yellow Ferrari, who's all over that back end like a wasp on honey.
Because he spun earlier on, did Tricoli, from where he started up in P3 and was running in P3 earlier on, as Panini also gets past De Boiver. But that's a spin and then also a pit stop as well sent him down into 18th place, which is where he currently stands. As we got an inside move here for Bisoglia. Apologies, that's Fulini getting past Bisoglia. Fulini, he could still, this is championship winning stuff here, guys. I could be proven right after all this time. He is up in 3rd place in the championship right now, is Matteo Fulini. And, he's moving himself up the order. He's up into P12. Unfortunately, P10 is a fair while ahead of him, but, he's pulled off some excellent overtakes, really. It's just a shame that he's had to pull them off in the first place after that mistake. As PSAZ, he is still battling with Adjinsons. This time they don't come to blows, and Adjinsons is staying in 15th place.
Beautiful over-under by Adjinsons, but PSA, what? How are you finding that inside line right there? Salvatore finding the inside of the inside line to try to make that move on Adjinsons. And I think he scared himself just a little bit, finding that little small gap. And now, he tried to go for the over-under just like Anderson did on him. But the back end just kicked out on that Ferrari, finding the limit of that Ferrari and unable to catch up with that Audi through these corners. But a big jumble of fight, and this is 11th place. And there is Puglini right behind him. In my years of commentating, anything can happen when you have just under 5 minutes to go. We have that just right now, so Puglini can definitely get into that top 10 spot for that reverse grid pole in case anything happens in front of him. And he's going to make sure that he can earn his spots up here as Tricoli gets that overtake on Perdeau right in front of him. And I want to reference one of the Audis up ahead. There's a Audi driving around there with a very damaged front nose. The front right of the car is a little bit lifted up, and they're still driving around out there. It's one of the Audis that had a spin earlier.
Yeah, it's just like, going over the gravel. I think that might be the one that you're talking about.
It is.
It is. And surprisingly, Austin, we haven't really came up with the nickname Biz so far, but it's an excellent nickname, so congratulations on that. We will be using it.
He's wrote it on SDK.
Oh, does he? Oh, excellent.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, as Lang has overtaken Dames. Dames has made a mistake. Oh, man. Well, okay. Just here's an idea. Oscar Pie, 2 B formats so far this season. Oscar Pie has won both of the race 1s. Will Dames has won both of the race 2s. This would be a very good position to start in race 2 in comparison to where he was before. Now, I'm not saying he's deliberately crashed. I'm just saying that this run could go to a hat-trick of B format races, with the 2 of them dominating the race 1s and the race 2s respectively. We'll see if that continues. Fulini trying to get basically in the reserve spot for the reverse grid pole. but he cannot get past. This is going to be the penultimate lap of the race, and Fulini is being blocked at every turn by Thomas Diaz, who will feel like he had a great chance of getting in the top 10 himself actually, but has had his own issues as Piazeze's gone off again. And dare I say, that's probably contact, because well, that's a weird place to stop.
Yeah, De Boer is now your leading amateur driver, as Piazeze has, I think, been turned, as we're looking live at Oscar Pie on track and in his simulator right now, flying through Sterling's as we head all the way through Clearways, as he just has less than 20 seconds to go, and I think we might get a white flag, not the checker flag right here, unless he decides to just drag the brake just a little bit. He's got 5 seconds to spare, but no, we're going to go white flag. One more lap to go for Oscar Pie.
Very comfortable race lead at the moment. Of course, you have to think if Lang hadn't have made that mistake, Lang would probably be taking, well, it wasn't a mistake, sorry, it was contact. So we'll see what stewards think after that. They can reverse decisions, so you could well see Lang eventually be given this race win if the stewards decide that Pie deserves a penalty of 5 seconds or more, as Biz is still close to feeling. He still hasn't got past Diaz, but in the end it's all fairly pointless, I must say, because, well, whilst 11th place is better to finish than 12th position, it's not the coveted 10th place that they all desperately want,
well,
unless something happens ahead.
Positive for Biz right now. He's got 2 cars that are actively attacking and defending from each other. He can surprise both of them right here with a well-timed over-under. Now, his best opportunity was just right there at Granville Bend. He got extremely close off the exit, but these two could be fighting all over the place in these upcoming corners. They could both be defending onto the inside, attacking and defending onto that inside of the track. He could try to sneak around the outside on the entry and then slam it back onto the right, as Oscar Pie takes that final right-hand corner, puts one hand in the air, wipes the sweat off his forehead as he takes the race 1 victory here at Brands Hatch.
Consecutive race 1s and B formats for Oscar Pie. Excellent work. Lang finishes 2nd place, but will not be happy. But we look forward to seeing that rivalry be renewed in race 2. Ellie is going to be able to get reverse good pole here. Molliard will be P9, Ellie in P10, and this roster of drivers who narrowly missed out in the end. Fulini will be gutted with that one. De Boiver, meanwhile, still getting past Panini, who's made a mistake right at the end. He's not going to be caught by Piazzese, however. He will finish in P19. And, well, we'll have a 3-minute break and then race 2, but that was some fun action in race 1, Austin. Some aggressive driving, I would say. Everyone was desperate to make moves.
Yeah, it was looking like a Toyota GR86 Cup race out there, with everybody just being so close to each other and just trying to push everybody out of the way. But if that is the action to start off the day,
the highlights from that race 1. And yes, pretty tight batting in that turn 1. Mitchell Drysdale right in the mix. Drysdale actually finishing P5 under the radar. Actually a good performance as we so often see. But did lose these couple of places. Well, Dames sort of again under the radar, finishing in, he could have got P2 in the end if it wasn't for that mistake. Considering that he started down in, I believe, 5th position, it was quite a meteoric rise.
yeah, it's not about how you start, it's about how you finish, and unfortunately some of these drivers had a harder start than the others. That was a big contact right there for that Ferrari, and I would say one of the more just watching that try to avoid the incident, but by taking the tightest possible entry that he could, unfortunately caught the grass. Druids, big spot to either be tapped or lose it on their own, especially in these opening laps, as well as Paddock Hill Bend. Very difficult early on, as we saw a few of the cars struggling with that throughout the day. As, man, this next race I'm very excited for. Top 10 inverted, and I'm pretty sure there's going to be a little bit of boiled blood here today for that second heat.
I think this one was the most aggressive move of the day. That was with Will Dames making an overtake, and Frederick Schwartz very much benefiting from it because it was a double move, and there was Schwartz then losing the car just a few moments later, having to go offline by Paul Joseph Clist leaving the pit lane. Yatortas being able to benefit from that one, and yeah, Zanon being involved in several battles and also a mistake as well earlier on in the race, but this was a pretty good one through Paddock Hill Bend and into Druids. Wasn't quite able to get the move done in the end, but 10th place for Oscar Pye in this race too. Austin, is that possible for him to come back from that, as well, we see how he got the race win in race 1?
It's going to be difficult, but it's not going to be impossible. He's going to have to pray upon the stars that things happen in front of him, and a little bit of interference from some other drivers might have to happen for that to really pay off for him. But it's going to be a very aggressive drive for Oscar Pye to make that a double here today. It's going to be difficult, and it's going to be a lot of fun to watch.
As we have the results up on screen, Oscar Pye winning out by 5.3 seconds ahead of Paul Lang. Haldus Yatortas in third position, top of the Pro Schwartz, Drysdale, Sampson, Dames, Nutini, Molliord and Ellie. Those top 10 will be reversed for the grid in race 2. Then it was Yaz, Fulini, Bizaglia, Trani, Yitsen Adjinsons, Chocoli, Perdue, De Boiva, top of the amateur drivers in 18th. That's Panini, Piazzese, Puccetti, Gabrielli, Franken, Rene, Colashaw, Zanon, Gasparini, Russell in 28th place. Warm up pretty much finishing at the moment, and well, we'll be soon into the gridding for the second race. Like I said, pretty much the same order. It's just those top 10 reversed from their original positions, and there you can see up on screen Ellie at the top, Molliord, Nutini, Dames, Sampson, Drysdale, Schwartz, Yatortas, Lang and Pye. Starting from P10, reminder, so far Will Dames is 2 from 2 in these types of races. However, I think both of them he started in second place, maybe one of them he started in first. I think Monzo started from pole, Interlagos he started from second. This one's starting from fourth, and he's got Ellie, Molliord and Nutini right in front of him. We saw Ellie, Molliord and Nutini have some pretty epic fighting in there, Austin. They're not going to let him past easy.
Yeah, no, he's gonna be an uphill fight for Will Dames. He's got some of the best driving attackers and defenders ahead of him on the grid. Ellie, Molliord and Nutini are not gonna let Dames just have a cakewalk around the outside or inside of them, so he's gonna have to get creative or just be very opportunistic. But he's also got to watch out for David Sampson. Samsoid, he will lay under the radar for a little bit, but when that opportunity happens, David's going to jump on them. And, well, I think I just commented or cursed David as he is not taking the grid.
Jesus Christ,
for race number 2. Oh my God. Wow. Okay, so that I've out-commented to curse Sam here on my only appearance in the ARL GT3. I'll be banned for the next part of the season. It was great to be here, everybody, but it's even better to be here in the commentary booth watching these great cars all lined up and getting ready to rock and roll behind Frederico Ellie as it goes green, green, green.
Ellie with a storming start, getting a few car lengths clear of the rest of the order. Great start for Frederick Schwartz. He's up a couple of places. There he is. Right with the team. We've got off for Paul Lang straight away, and Yatortas and Pye all involved some big names around that 10th position being worked out before they even reached turn 1 on this circuit. And we've got a few cars back to the pits. Chris Franken as well. Christian Engelhardt not taking the start. There's Ellie leading the way. Molliord in second place. It's Nutini, Dames. Schwartz with that excellent start. Like I said, he just about got away from all of that mess. Great start for Matteo Fulini. He's up 5 places into P7.
This grid is all jumbled up, and I think because some drivers had a late tow or weren't on the grid, everyone was kind of confused on where to be because they're still heading through turn 1 as most of these cars are already into the forest right there. It was a very widespread start And I feel like just a few of the drivers were a little bit chaotically caught out right there as we ride on board of Filippo. But that replay of the start is coming very soon as we can slowly dissect on what the heck happened at the start of this race.
So yeah, the fact that Pie's still going, surprised by that one. He still seems to be very quick as well, actually just getting past Florian Renault, but I think Renault might have damaged himself. Molliord getting past Ellie, that is for the race lead, so Molliord leads this race now. If that was a mistake there from Ellie, he's a while back now, so perhaps very slow, and he's wide again through turn 1. Molliord needs to make hay whilst the sun shines here in Kent and pull away as far as he possibly can. Whilst these cars are getting stuck behind. But so far, Dame's not any progress, still in 4th place, but he has got his teammate, Patrick Shorts, right with him.
Yeah, riding on board of Ellie, looking at Nutini right behind him. And yeah, Ellie did get a little bit wide out of the exit of Clark curve, but all the cars behind him as Will Dames goes a little bit wide, exiting surgery. So here's that start. Looking at Oscar Pie on the outside. Oh, he tries to find that inside line, but one of the Lamborghinis just dives it up low. And, oh, that was so unfortunate right there. They went 3 wide, and just a little bit of contact right there caused all that. I would say the biggest loser out of all there was Paul Lang, because that was Lang on the inside of Oscar Pie and just caught the front nose of Paul Lang as Oscar Pie moved over, which caused all of that. Little bit of an off track for Trani up ahead as Anderson is able to skip on by for 10th place.
And it's been, a couple of things. One, obviously, Paul Lang couldn't have an easy couple of races because something always goes wrong, and it's usually out of his control as well. That is one disappointment through that. And I also feel very bad for how does you taught us because he was completely priced under that. And thirdly, also, I wanted to see a renewal of that rivalry between Pie and Lang. However, didn't want it to conclude before he got into turn 1. So big shame on that one, and we won't see those cars be able to make their way through. Well, Pie will partially, but he'll be got some extra work to do. Joe still with a big side is putting him under pressure from Matteo Fulini. Fulini really killed my expectations with that huge mistake in that one, and I will continue to go on about it. And now up in P70, it's a good recovery. But he will still be kicking himself off, so seemingly having very good pace. Oscar Pie, by the way, no danger on his car. He's just at the fastest lap of the race, despite being in traffic. So he is storming up the order. He's up into 13th, only 6 seconds off the lead.
I pray you don't do anything predicting a certain F1 championship and picking a driver to win that championship on the late Apex and future episodes, because apparently you have a very bad time at that.
Oh, here he goes. Okay. Oh, no. Basically, yeah. It's said he's gone into the pits. No one else wants to go into the pits.
Yeah, Biz is taking up space right there, and he's going to have to make the hard decision on when to get out there. This is a very bad time! Well, if you want to know what the pucker factor is called, that's it. We all did it right there. And I think PJC is probably the one that had the biggest pucker in all of that.
Good avoidance right in the end. Puccetti with a very nice looking move. Gabrielli's also going to go past De Boiva. It's been overtaken a lot today. He had an excellent start though to De Boiva to this race. I think he was up into 14th place at one point. So he has actually had a very good night. It's just the fact that he's had very good starts to De Boiva. There's contact now with Pie. I think you originally made that move on China, but I think China was trying to come back. Meanwhile, Dames has dropped down the order. It's not going to be a race 2 for Will Dames. The first time this season he's not won a race 2. And it will be someone else who will take the race win. And our 2 winningest drivers so far this season, Dames and Pie, both with significant issues so far in this
there's
race.
Another car around. That's Yaz. Thomas Yaz is around, and Pie is moved up 2 freebie spots this race so far. This is coming out of Sterling's. Just a little bit of over rotation by Thomas Yaz, and I think that was a little bit of grass on the outside because it was a very tight line on the inside. It just caught out the back end of that car. as we ride on board of Mitchell Drysdale, sitting in 5th place, chasing down that Audi. So we got side-by-side action. David Sampsey is back out on the track from probably my worst commentator's curse ever. But in a positive note, good crossover move right there. Positive note, he avoided that chaos in lap 1.
Oh dear.
Oh,
Contact
and there's
behind.
chaos
That's
behind
PSAZ with Bouts. You could see that one coming from a while back. I think PSAZ was alongside a fair bit before the corner, so not exactly sure exactly what happened with the Bouts turned in too early or what. I think they've both got away fairly unscathed. Here comes Fulini. Fulini could win this race, guys. He could win this race from absolutely nowhere. He is currently a fair bit behind. And Schwartz, yeah, up into 3rd place, but not making too much progress. We've still got 2 Pro-Ams. We haven't had a Pro-Am win a race so far this season. But it's looking very possible with 4 of them in the top 5.
Yeah, 4 of them in the top 5 is definitely the best stat, but also 30-minute race. We're 6 minutes into this race. Fugolini could definitely win it, but he has to make sure that he keeps it clean because incidents can sneak up on you anytime that you aren't expecting. This is what happened to Will Dames, overtaking onto the inside. He just overshoots the corner, catches the gravel, and the car just shoots forward and straight into the wall. And that Lamborghini, well, it's returning back to that Audi chassis and not representing a Lamborghini. Nice. And, oh, this is what happened to Yaz. He got tapped from behind, actually. Enter that corner. There's a little bit of stack up, tap the brakes, and unfortunately became the caveat for a little pull shot.
I think Villini having a couple of marish corners. Now got Oscar Pye up the inside. There goes Pye, making up huge amounts of time on these drivers as they fight furiously. We've also got a fight for the lead. Molliord versus Ellie going on. Molliord has made a mistake on this lap, and Ellie is now alongside. He's surely going to have the race there. There's nothing that the Lamborghini driver can do. He tries to get the cutback, but it's not going to happen for him because Ellie's got the much better line, and he is through up into the lead after losing it early on. Molliord with a mistake on this 3rd sector. He lost 0.7 of a second in the middle parts of the lap, and that is why we've got to change the lead. Schwartz now right with these drivers, but Pye continues to close in on these drivers despite going through traffic. He's now 5.7 seconds back. He's got to get past Tripoli straight away. He's not going to do it. He's going to lose crucial 0.1 of a second as he tries to maneuver his way round.
I don't think he has to worry about that because we got a party up at the front of the grid. Pye with a beautiful switchback right now onto College Scully going a little bit wide, but now he's onto the inside of Paddock Hill Bend. Oscar Pye jumps up into 7th place, but I would say most of us are clamoring for that fight for the lead. We got a 3-way fight, a 3-way party right now. So we got a 4-way party for 7th between 3 very attractive pros right now. All of them looking to move up a spot, but they went 3 wide off the exit of Druids right now. Look at the gap that Pye just put on them as we go back to our fight for the lead. Ellie versus Mohord, and it is Schwartz at the back end of that group. Lambo versus Porsche, and it's gonna be a banger of an end. We got 20 minutes left in this race, and I do not want this race to end at all.
No, it's been absolutely intense so far. Samson continues to make his way up through the order. He's up into 18th, and this next up is Zenon. Oh, this would be lovely if he could pull it off. However, he's going to continue to be on the outside. Oh, great exit that he is past. Nice work there from Samson to move to 17th position now. But yeah, just a reminder, top of the amateur drive, still Jeremy de Boer. It's a Belgian 1-2 so far, with Peter Lemkins in 2nd place in that category. Lemkins up 13 places overall. Pro-Am leader and overall leader is Ellie, and then Pro leader is Frederick Schwartz at the moment, who I believe was runner-up to Lang in round 1 of the championship. I think this might be his best result since then, but he's looking to win this race. But he needs to make his way past soon. 5.3 seconds the gap between the leaders and Oscar Pye at the moment. He has got some tricky cars to manoeuvre around, but Schwartz needs to, well, I say needs to get past. He needs to just take any opportunity because it's not going to be easy to pass as Molliord makes another mistake there. He's not liking that middle part of the lap. I think it may have been Surtees where he made the first mistake as well.
It was, and if you're Schwartz, you do not want to initiate a giant fight. You want to take your opportunities when they are gifted to you, just like that opportunity, because if you start fighting with each other, that's more time you're going to lose to Oscar Pye. Pye's got a pretty clear track. He's got a second gap to Adrian Sins ahead of him. So he's going to be gunning you down for a little bit before he catches Adrian Sins. So if you're Schwartz, you got to be smart about these moves. You got to get into that track and then surgically maneuver your way past these cars to avoid the massive time loss that you will if you have a giant fight with somebody else. And around at Brands Hatch, it's probably going to be a giant fight.
Yeah, very much got to be smart when you're picking and choosing your battles like that. So yeah, certainly that's something that the drivers will be considering. But Fellini all over the back of Davide Tricova. I think that's been a battle which has been occurring for a while. Still, Fellini can't get past after a very strong start for him. Stepping back and seemingly stuck in that 9th place. But you can see just how close the entire field is. Top 11 separated by less than 10 seconds as it stands. Schwartz continues to get close on Moliod. Moliod defending to the inside, but he is able to open up the corner because he knows that Schwartz isn't going to be able to outbrake himself because, well, there's barely any braking into Hawthorne Bend, and so being able to take a normal racing line. Puccetti, meanwhile, trying to get past De Boer. Will he go for the cutback here or go around the outside? He's going to go for the cutback, but I don't think either option was really on there. Sampson in the background trying to make his way through. He's going to gain one place. There he goes past Peter Lemkens. And by the way, Lemkens now at the top of the... apologies, no, De Boer is still at the top of the amateur drivers. Now a few cars between himself and Peter Lemkens.
Yeah, beautiful move by Sampson. It wasn't as fast as he wanted it, but he was able to eke his way there. And speaking of eking his way past, here comes Schwartz. He found the opportunity on Nord. He's on to the inside of Patagale Bend, but they made contact and the top two are out! Drysdale is up into 2nd place. Milhard and Schwartz, 2nd and 3rd place, make contact at Patagale Bend, and they are down through the field. Oscar Pye is up into 5th.
Who was that going through the middle? Was that Renault?
That was
just
Renault.
Storming through the middle. That was something, I was about to say from a video game there, but this is one. And that was absolutely crazy to see. Him just absolutely scenting it through the middle, and wow. Didn't work for him, but they're back with one another now, Schwartz and Molio. Schwartz has made that move, but he's in the process lost 8.
Renault turned on the Freebird button and went for the smallest gap that you can find, and unfortunately that gap was closing on, and he was trying to find that gap like you would on Grand Theft Auto, and unfortunately it did not work for him. And now Adriansen's defending from Oscar Pye, and Pye, well, this race has worked in his favor. At the start of it did not work for him, but certainly the stars are aligning for Oscar Pye as he's going into 3rd place now, and now he's just got 2 cars ahead of him, Ellie and Drysdale, to make it a double here today.
And Drysdale won't fight Pye either. Drysdale is one of the most passive drivers out there, very smart driver. And so, well, really, I think it should just be Ellie who has to really fight past in order to win this race. As Sampson continues to move up the order. Renault, no surprise that he's had to go into the pits after that hard hit into the wall at Druids earlier on in the lap. As, well, I feel like there's a car to the left of us. Is there? Yeah, Puccetti's having to run wide. And, yeah, it was Sampson. He was on the apex. And Lemkens will go through as well. Excellent work there. And the North Sim Racing driver of Puccetti loses a couple of places in quick succession.
Yeah, Sampson, this race is also going into his favor as well for a very good recovery drive after the missed grid at that start of this race. He's currently sitting at 14th, but he's making his way up through the grid pretty nicely. He still needs 9 spots to make this a positive start here today, but the way that this race is going, I say it's a pretty good chance that Sampson's going to be very happy at the end of today, as we are halfway through race number 2 right now, 15 minutes in, 15 minutes to go.
Yeah, well, it's imagine if we have the amount of action in the second half as we've had in the first half. Everything kind of setting itself into place. Pye now 4.3 seconds off the lead, so he's made up 1.7 seconds as Oscar Pye in the last 13 minutes. However, seeing that he's made up about 15 places in that, that is some mighty achievement right there. Philip Russell, haven't seen him so far. Good to see him back, of course, on holiday with his brother George last week, so unfortunately missed Bathurst, but great to see the Race Factory driver back out there not having a fantastic time, but so far, but he is up 6 places in this race too. He's got Florian Renner, who just came into the pits right in front of him.
I was waiting until you mentioned it, and I'm very happy that it was said.
Have to mention it.
For
One so far today. Shouts out to George if he's watching.
Pretty sure he is.
Yeah.
Likes to support his brother.
Yeah. He's a good brother. Atkinson's, well, he was overtaken by Pi, and well, I say he was overtaken by Pi. He lets past. You could hear an audible lift going down clearways. But he's not going to let Nutini pass necessarily. He wants to keep this pace, does Jensen. One of the most experienced drivers in the field. Jensen around since the Apex Racing League GT days. I think you may have done a season of that with me, Austin. That was absolutely ages back.
That was ages ago. I think I didn't even have a beard back then. As a little bit of a back end moment for Agencies. And yeah, there was an audible lift, and I think he learned something from me. You aren't racing in class that the guy is behind, you just let him by. And that's what Agencies did right there, and hey, it works, let me tell you. If you race smart, that race is going to come to you. And he's going to have to watch out as Davide Tripoli is fighting his way up to that grid as the car ahead of him, Fujilini, they're at the back of this little Agencies Nutini fight, and they could disrupt that little bit of order that Agencies has currently in 4th place.
Yeah, both of them look quick. Chicoli was up in 3rd place, wasn't he, in race 1 before issues befell him?
Yeah, he got pitchforked.
Yeah, so he's very quick. Shorts past Trani after his issues earlier on when he made contact. It looked, now if I'm recalling this incident correctly, I'm pretty sure it was, from the off-board at least, it looks like Shorts understeered into Molios. I'm sure the stewards will do more looking into it than I have done, but I think Shorts may be in trouble right there. But he had to go for it, Austin. I mean, he wanted to win that race, and when you have half an opportunity to overtake like he did, you've got to go for it.
The famous racing driver quote said by Eric Senna, which some would say is completely wrong, and he's just trying to defend himself right there after a obvious mistake, would say that he's going for that gap. If you're a racing driver, you don't for a gap, you're no longer a racing driver. I would say there's a 30-minute race going on. You don't have to go for that gap at that point.
I will say as well that I believe that he said that straight after intentionally driving into Prost. And
yes.
So it does slightly dampen the notion of that quote. Feel free if I'm wrong on that one for someone to correct me on that. But this is the replay then. So this is what I was talking about. Schwartz going for the gap, and then he's I mean, it's such a narrow circuit there. He's only missed the apex by like half a car's worth, which most places you'd be all right with. But you can see, I mean, from here, yeah, he's just struggling to turn the car. He's gone so deep, and then a brilliant save there. That was from Mitchell Drysdale to hold on to the car.
And Drysdale's got to watch out for Oscar Pi, who's right behind him and closing down on Drysdale. It's about 0.2 of a second faster per lap, Oscar Pi, compared to Drysdale. But Drysdale, he is right on the bumper of the car ahead of him. That's a lap car, I believe, ahead of Drysdale. That is not Ellie ahead of Drysdale, I believe. Actually, no, I think it might be Ellie right ahead. Yeah, that's a fight for the lead right ahead of Oscar Pi. Drysdale has closed down that gap to Ellie. Ellie has made a little bit of a mistake, so now we got a 3-car fight for the lead.
He's been very inconsistent in this race. Remember, lost the lead between, basically as they started the second lap of the race. Lost the lead due to a mistake, I believe, the Clark Curve was able to get it back again. And that's another mistake because it's just done a 23.16, which is a good quarter of a second slower. That's the car. That's not PJC, is it?
That was PJC.
That was PJC. Well, at least that's a good way to let the drivers who are a lap ahead go past.
Unintentionally.
Yeah, but it's still a good way. I mean, I'm not gonna put intentionality into it at all. Ellie 0.4 of a second clear now, as we've got this very close battle. Still Jensen doing an excellent job at holding onto that place. There's Fellini, Triccoli, and Nutini. And then after this, we've got another pack of Chani, Moliord, Perdue, Gabrielli, and De Boiva. This is what I like about Tricky Sotek circuits, that you can have these trains of cars where you can't overtake, and Formula 1 fans love this because that's why we tune in every Sunday to see this type of difficult overtaking stuff.
Unless you're Lewis Hamilton at Imola.
Unless you're, I mean, I don't think the drivers necessarily enjoy it, but I mean, us at Formula 1 fans,
I certainly enjoyed it. I really enjoyed that race.
Oh, I think a lot of us did. A lot of us did.
I'm going to get some hate mail from some people in Twitter, and I do not care.
Well, of course, George Russell is listening along, so it'll be very interesting to see what his...
Nah, he was ahead of Lewis that race, so he's okay with it too.
Oh yeah, but will he back his teammate or be quietly agreeing with you on that one? I'm not
He's
quite
the
sure.
number one driver. He doesn't really care.
No. Well, we'll see. Fellini's going to be overtaken here by Ciccoli. I think. Oh, he's missed a gear shift. He was a little bit late to shift up there, Fellini, and well, I think he was letting lose the position anyway, but it didn't exactly help things. And Ciccoli up into P6. Great news for him. He might be able to recover a P4 out of this. So this is what I call a video game moment, which is something that Martin Tyler would say on FIFA games. And that is where he went for it. I mean, I don't know what Floyd's really doing there, honestly. I mean,
they're
I'm not sure if that
gap.
was on.
They're shooting the gap, and they're missing the gap. And Fujilini has made a mistake.
Oh, no, not again.
Sam, you're going to have to eat your words. Fujilini has dropped down to 15th place, and there is the reason why. And I can see a little bit of a grass touch on the outside exiting machines. And entering Sterling, so he's came across the track, and that Lamborghini was... I can tell you what's wrong with that car. The back right wheel is not attached to it.
Yeah, it's not front-wheel drive for these cars. Look at Pye, he's only half a second by. There goes Drysdale, down the inside. Oh, it's an American who leads here at Brands Hatch. What a move from Mitchell Drysdale. I thought he'd be the cautious one, but the moment he saw an opportunity, he sent it. And he leads race 2 here at Brands Hatch. Ellie drops down to second place, and that is not good news for Oscar Pye because I don't think Drysdale is going to fight Pye as much as Ellie. Ellie now has to desperately try to keep the Frenchman behind, and Drysdale has got to desperately try to build a gap before the inevitable occurs.
And it's Drysdale leading as Pye is in the rear view screen of Federico Ellie. And Pye is probably licking his lips. Was like, come on, I want that second place. I want the lead. But he has to be cautious. Sends it down to the inside of Clark Curve. And it's Pye up into second place now. Chasing now Drysdale. Pye versus Drysdale for the lead. Ellie has dropped down 2 spots in 1 lap. And I think he might want that spot a little bit back. But it is Oscar Pye that he's fighting up ahead. Is he going to try to chase him down, or is he going to be staying in that draft? Or he is going to go very late on the brakes to try to catch Pye off guard.
Once again for Ellie, I mean, through those few corners that he was initially overtaking, it looked like he had loads of understeer, really struggling, and then the moment he's overtaken by Pye, a couple of real nice corners where he was able to stay close. So yeah, just so up and down for Federico, it seems. Not sure if it's necessarily mistakes, but maybe that car just struggling to keep the tyres in the right window to get the maximum grip out of them. Jensen Atkinson still in 4th position as it stands. Still Jeremy De Boiver leading the amateur category after winning, I think, back at Bathurst as well. I think he got 10th place back at Bathurst, so amazing performance for De Boiver. This is what happened to Fellini. Going to be a self-mistake here. Oh yeah, he's lost it fairly early on, then hard into the wall. You can understand why he damaged the wheel. Now, the reason why I am disappointed was Fellini, as this is what happened to Drysdale with this brilliant move, Austin. And well, I think initially Ellie thought he had it covered, but Drysdale just so didn't give anything away there. It didn't look like he was absolutely going to go for the move whatsoever. And then just in time, just before the braking zone, that's when he sent it, and that's really what caught the Italian unawares.
It was a now you see me, now you don't move. He was putting himself onto the outside of the track, and then boom, onto the inside. Drysdale for the lead.
By the way, Fellini, I'm very disappointed because he's finished so far 6th, 5th, 9th, 5th, 5th, 6th, and 8th. so far this season. There's going to be far fewer points for him. So he was the only man, I think, to finish in the top 8, top 9, apologies, every round so far this season. But not anymore, as Salvatore PSA, despite having good pace, he's having a missable time. His championship lead will be cut down, I believe. I don't think De Boyer was necessarily the number 2 in that championship going in, so not too bad for PSA, though. But yeah, generally, in terms of just having a good points haul, not a good night for him. Drysdale leads by 1.3 seconds. Mitchell Drysdale, who I didn't think was going to be very strong here in the Ferrari, he is absolutely dominating against the championship leader. He is pulling away. He has a 10th faster than Pi on that last lap. The Pro-Am has this one, and it looks like Pi's going to finish runner-up in race 2 for the 3rd consecutive time.
He's got 4 minutes to go, but I can definitely say one thing, 1.4 seconds ahead, and it looks like he is pulling away from Oscar Pi. I just got one word to say: America.
Honestly, I'm preparing a burger and everything right now. I'm starting to feel patriotic for America right now, because this is phenomenal stuff from Mitchell Drysdale. Chicoli has, he's trying to get past Nutini, hasn't been able to do it. Nutini trying to get past, Adrian says, he's gone wide, that's going to lose him in the place. He's spinning off, he manages to avoid Chicoli moving through, but Nutini's had an excellent run tonight. He was trying to go for the championship as well against Mitchell Drysdale. Drysdale already putting himself into a very good position, but Nutini's championship hopes taking a big hit right there as he was sent into the wall. But credit to him, Austin, because I thought he was going to swing there to the left, and had he done, he would have taken out Salvatore Trani, but unfortunately he went the other way. Chicoli.
Yeah, he dived onto the inside of Trani, and he sent it really hard into Graham Hill Bend, that he oversent the corner, caught the grass, and as we saw right there, avoided Trani, but unfortunately met the wall right there, and that was not a very good day, as he is now into the pits, and that car is very, very, very damaged. As this is Philip Russell going a little bit wide, and now he is in a fight with Dirk onto his inside, and Dirk and that Ferrari passing him on the straightaway, and he's going to be looking ahead to correct that little mistake. But up through the field, it's your amateur championship leader. It's Jeremy De Boyer, up in 11th place ahead of David Sampson, and he's in a little bit of a fight right now. Michele Gabrielli right ahead of him. David Sampson, he's going to be trying to look for a very wide apex to catch him right now as we ride on board. Jeremy De Boyer chasing down that 227 of Gabrielli right ahead of him. 2 Ferraris versus a Lamborghini, the age-old rivalry of Lamborghini and Ferrari. If you know anything about the history of Lamborghini and the Ferrari family, oh man, this is that fight certainly embodied out there on track, as Sampson is right on the bumper of De Boyer, and Sampson looking around that outside. Is he going to try that little cutback move through Hawthorne Bend? Yes, he is. Sampson, he's done this move twice today. He tried it for a 3rd time. The 3rd time was definitely not the charm for that move to work out for him, but he's definitely distracting De Boyer as Gabrielli is pulling away from him. And big spin up ahead.
And that's very similar to what Fulini did earlier on, as he does get into first gear. It's like me on my driving test right there, but he's really damaged that rear wing, and I think actually the car is crapping as well, so it's disappointing for him.
Traffic.
Yeah, well, he's got past it, his Drysdale. I mean, he's got this one in the back. Let's not stress about this one, because we have got half of that to pay. Mitchell Drysdale,
I'm going to stop you right here
at Brands Hatch, and he's going to win this race, Austin. He's going to become the first Pro-Am to win so far this season. First American to win so far this season. First Ferrari to win this season.
Sam, I know what a commentator's curse is. You just intentionally tried that. He has to get through the rest of this track to make sure that he has it in the back, but 1.5 seconds ahead of Pi. That lap traffic that he went through, he had a better lap passing them than Oscar Pi, but he has to make sure that he gets these final few corners just right. Pi is sending it through these final corners. 3/10 gained so far this lap. It's looking at 4/10. 1 corner to go through clearways and Clark Curve. and one final corner, and now onto the straightaway. The podium is going to be singing America right now. Mitchell Drysdale in the Ferrari takes the win here at Brands Hatch.
Oh, what a drive from Mitchell Drysdale. Started in P6, remember. It was not easy for him whatsoever, but that stunning move earlier on in the race on Federico Eli was the decisive factor, and once he got the lead, he was comfortably ahead of Oscar Pai all the way to the line. Pai rounds out, Ellie round out the podium. Samson will finish in 11th place. Top of the bronze obviously was Drysdale. Top of the ARLs was De Boy, another phenomenal round for him. He is in great form since that fantastic win last time out at Bathurst as well. Florian Renault chasing home his fellow countrymen and teammates as well. Thomas Yaz in 19th and 20th place. Also very close to the line, Salvatore Piazzese and Filippo Puccetti. I think Puccetti's just overtaken Piazzese on the line, in fact. I'm not entirely sure. Maybe not. It was very close. Bizzaglia, apologies, and Puccetti. Extremely close at the line. And yeah, I think Bizzaglia managed to overtake Puccetti right at the close. So phenomenal finishing right there. And once again, a fantastic race 2, maybe even better than race 1, honestly, as we will go through the final results then for this race 2. And of course the points equal for both race 1 and race 2, so you need 2 good results to get up there. Oscar Pai will certainly be the highest scoring driver, but Mitchell Drysdale will not be too far off. And I mean, he's got the Prime Championship pretty much wrapped up now. 2 job scores as well in this series, so he can afford some pretty rubbish results to the end of the season and still be top of the table. The 202 winning here at Brands Hatch for the first time in his Apex Racing League career. Oscar Pai in 2nd place, then it's Federico Eli, Jensen Adjusson, great defence from Adjusson in 4th. Then it's Frederick Schwartz, Davide Giacoli. Wonder what he could have happened if he hadn't had that spin in race 1. Then it's Salvador Trani, Tommy Molliord. Unfortunate for him, of course, he was up in the podium places for much of the race. Michele Gabrielli, Jeremy DeVoiver once again at the top of the ARLs. There's David Sampson from the pit lane, Peter Lemkins, Francois Perdru, Andrea Nutini with that spin later on, Paul Collishaw, Salvatore Piazzese, Marco Bizzaglia, Filippo Puccetti in 18th place for North Sim Racing. And then it was Thomas Yaz, Florian Renault, Dirk Bouts, Philip Russell, Andrea Panini, Egidijus Kasiroskas, Matteo Fiolini, Claudio Gasparini, Daniel Zanon, PJC in 28th, Gus Franken in 29th, there's Will Dames, Harold Yatortas, Paul Lang, and Christian Engelhardt, who I don't think actually took the start. Christian, hopefully we'll see him back for next week. Austin, no disrespect, hopefully we don't see you back next week, because hopefully we have Tim once again back, but it's been wonderful to have you here. And like, yeah, I'm just pleased that someone from your fellow nation has done you proud tonight, and you've been here to witness it.
I'm very happy I said yes to this, and yeah, hey, I could just be a one and done right now. It's a win for me in my book, so it was very fun having it alongside. If I'm not allowed back because I showed American bias, all right, I'm okay with that. But yeah, it was a lot of fun, and I hope if I am invited back, hey, I'm excited for the next round, and I hope everybody else is excited for the next round as well with you and Tim back in the booth.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Austin, once again for joining us. And, well, I'll be back in the studio in just a few moments, but we'll be bringing you some of the highlights of that race too. For now, we'll be back with you in just a couple of minutes.
race 1 absolutely enthralling, and then that race 2 a fantastic result in the end for Mitchell Drysdale to be able to take the race win in his Ferrari. Got a few of the moments from that race 2 currently up on screen, so many overtakes and a fair few incidents as well. A little bit of controversy as well with that Oscar Pye and Paul Lang and Haldus Utorta's incident, 3 of the top 4 being taken out before we even reached turn 1, albeit Pye of course able to come back. Yeah, what a comeback it was from him to be able to take that P2 position in the end. We're probably going to get some interviews with a few drivers after that race, and well, we already have our race winner, Mitchell Drysdale, with us now. Mitchell, you've had some pretty good results so far this season. This one, though, takes it to a new level. You're the first Pro-Am this season to win an overall race. How does it feel?
I'm still trying to catch my breath. I spent most of the race just trying to keep all 4 tires on track, and you know, I was talking to a couple others in the waiting room about just I had no plan to overtake a single person on track either 2 races. I kind of just let the mistakes of others and incidents move me forward in both. The second race was definitely more eventful than the first for me, but was able to keep it clean, and the result shows it.
You see, I think you've been playing a masterful game, because I think we've gone 7.5 rounds of you being a very sort of patient, smart driver who, like you said, doesn't go for moves unless it's absolutely necessary, who won't risk anything. And then all of a sudden, heading into, I think it was Sterling's, about midway through or near the end of that race 2, you go for that move for the race. It seemed to catch the race leader off guard, and it seemed like the perfect move to go for in that situation.
Yeah, it was, again, like, unless there was a mistake, I was planning to sit behind him. I was telling him this too. I'm like, I had no aspiration to take it away from you. And then, yeah, the mistake heading into the left-hander, and I just saw he put a little bit of a defense on, but I knew he probably wasn't going to fight it too much, so I stuck it down the inside, and I did it very cautiously too. I didn't want to ruin either of our races, and he was nice enough to let me go from there. And then I'll let Oscar speak for himself, but I just think he was comfortable sitting there. I think he had more pace than me at the rate that he was closing, but I'll take first when it's given to me.
Oh yeah, you absolutely fully deserved it there, Mitchell. Next week we head to Road Atlanta, so back over your side of the pond. How do you feel about that circuit?
I think a lot of the tracks on this calendar, it's avoid the incidents and keep your nose clean, and you'll do well. And I think Road Atlanta is no different. I think draft obviously means a bit more there, so trying to qualify well, but then again, just picking the overtake moments, you know, thinking them through and seeing who's behind me in gaps and making logical choices is going to remain my strategy for the rest of the season.
Absolutely, well, it served you very well. You've got 1.5 hands on the Pro-Am Championship title already, and yeah, hopefully you can have a good end to the season, Mitchell. Congratulations.
Cheers, guys.
So Mitchell Drysdale, your race 2 winner right there. Yeah, incredible performance from Mitchell, and yeah, quite a surprise that he was able to do it, but I mean, if you go through the results, he has gradually been increasing his performance as the season goes on. This guy though, he has well, been from at the top pretty much from the start, and it was another first and second in the B format. Congratulations, Oscar Pye, on, well, first up, that race 1 victory. We've got to talk about it though, that move on Paul Lang. How was it from your perspective? Because I imagine you and Paul will have some differing kind of recollections of it.
Yeah, first of all, thank you. And yeah, I noticed a few times that he wasn't taking the apex in turn 1, so I was gaining quite a lot of time here. And yeah, I was really close before turn 1, so I tried to get the best exit as possible, and yeah, I got a good exit, and so yeah, I went for the move around the inside, and because I saw he wasn't closing the door, so I went inside and yeah, I closed the door when I was like, I mean, I don't know, it's a strange incident. Yeah, just race.
Yeah, it's always tricky into that corner, and we see it so often where you can take that early apex into Druids, and then it's sort of, well, is he moving in the braking zone? Is he just taking his racing line? It is ever so tricky. And then that race 2, tricky start for yourself, but then you were absolutely sending it through the field. It looked like you were just absolutely making moves when other drivers couldn't. I mean, how tricky was it to overtake around the circuit, and where did you find was the best place that you could overtake?
The incident at the stunt, once again, a strange incident. I too wide, and so yeah, was funny to be last and catch back, and yeah, I had I overtake it every corner. I think like it depends of the drivers, and luckily two drivers let me by because they know I was faster, and yeah, sometimes I have to overtake, and I think there was some crash also, so that thanks to that I can manage to come back to.
Yeah, it was a terrific drive up to second place, and then, well, Mitchell, I'm not sure if you heard him, but he said that you may have just settled for second place once you got into second place. I mean, was that the case, or were you still going for the race win even when you got into that second position?
No, I was full throttle to go for the win. I wanted to end, then went to strikes, but fortunately I didn't manage to get the win. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe next time.
Yeah, certainly next time. I'm sure you're going to be one of the favorites. Of course, yeah, back with the B format once again with the couple of races. Is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to, Oscar?
Yeah, like always, Kwanda and VRS. Yeah, everybody who support.
Awesome. Well, thanks for having a chat with us, and yeah, keep up the great results.
Thank you. Good evening.
Oscar Pye there, race 1 winner, and second place in race 2, just as the case was in the previous couple of double race formats we have had. Next up, we have got Federico Eli in the commentary box with us now. Federico, congratulations out there. It was some pretty intense racing, but you managed to get a pretty amazing result out of it in, well, both race 1 getting a top 10 and then race 2 getting a podium.
Yeah, good evening everyone. Yeah, it's been fun. Basically, I just tried my best to stay out of trouble, because this is not an easy track to overtake and to have safe runoffs if you miss some apex or something. So I just tried to stay out of trouble and avoid all the people exploding in front of me. Basically, that was my strategy, and it worked out.
It was definitely a very good strategy for yourself. It seemed like in that race too, your pace sort of ebbed and flowed a little bit, because I mean, you started on pole position, if I recall correctly, and you unfortunately lost the race lead quite early on, but then you were able to get it back, and then you seemed to be sort of have the edge on Mitchell for a bit, but then he seemed to close back in a little bit. I mean, was there a little bit of like inconsistency through that second race, you think?
Well, definitely, but I did my own setup, and I'm not very good at it. So at the first, let's say the first quarter of the race, with fresh tires, I was doing pretty consistent laps, and then when tires cooked up, I just started sliding around and losing a lot of time. And then Mitchell catched up quite fast, and basically I let him and Oscar go because they were too fast. I mean, they were a good second faster than me, so there was no need to battle them.
Yeah, that was certainly the wise thing to do in that scenario. And yeah, and maybe on another day they could have fought and you could have potentially got through and got that race win, but you certainly weren't far away. Next up we head to Road Atlanta. It's another one of these B format races where we've got the 2 races. I mean, what's sort of your preference? Because we've had the 60-minute races, the 90-minute races. Do you prefer those longer ones, or do you prefer these shorter kind of sprint double race formats?
Well, unfortunately, I will miss the next one because I will be away. And it's a pity because I love Road Atlanta, but in my opinion, I prefer better the 60 minutes race because you have to plan more carefully your strategy and manage tires much better than this one. On this one, basically, if you have a good setup, you can push pretty hard from beginning to the end. On the other one, you have to be more careful with the time management and also fuel saving because you can gain a lot of time with a shorter pit stop. So yeah, I prefer the 60 minutes. I have fun though, even on this one. It's absolutely perfect, but I prefer the 1 hour format.
That is absolutely fair, and yeah, that's a very good reasoning for it with the strategy element of it. Yeah, shame that you're not going to be back in a fortnight's time, but hopefully we'll see much more of you for the rest of the season. Is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to?
Well, yeah, I would like to thank my team, of course, Trade It Up, Squadra Course, and all the guys supporting me and giving me strategy and engineering and stuff like that. It's we're having fun. And yeah, basically that's it. All my teammates and all the team managers and members of the team. We're doing a pretty good job. So thank you all.
Awesome. Well, thanks for having a chat with us, Federico, and yeah, best of luck for the rest of the season.
Yes, man. Thanks to you. Thank you.
Federico Ellie there, 10th place in race 1. And then 3rd place in race 2. Next up, we've got our winner in the amateur category. Apologies, it's Jeremy de Boiver. Jeremy, last week was an amazing result at Bathurst, and you've repeated it again. It's another top 10.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. I was not expect to do this here, but yeah, everything keep well, and the guys in front of me make some little mistakes. And for me, it was just to keep the rhythm on and do the same pace to make good laps and keep the tires alive and go to the finish like that.
How tricky is it to keep the car within the confines of this Brands Hatch circuit? Because, you know, if you touch the grass, then that's potentially game over. Was that something you were struggling to do in the practice, and how tricky was it during the race?
Well, like I saw here in the first race, Salvatore make a mistake. I go a little bit on the grass, and I need more than a lap to keep the tires go to work again. And so I try to keep on, but on practice, like you tell, we do a lot of work for that and see what's going on with the tires, how far we can go with it. And today, if you go 2-3 laps on overdrive, the tire was too hot, and you need to keep to the pace a little bit less and keep a good rhythm on that.
And how have you found the Ferrari for this round of the championship? I mean, obviously, you know, Mitchell was driving the car and managed to win out. Is it these types of circuit that the Ferrari is particularly strong, or is it other characteristics where it really thrives?
No, like circle like that, the Ferrari feels very good. Like last week was the same. On the more faster tracks, I think maybe there we go a little bit speed on the top. We go to a little than the Porsche and OD a very good pace. But here I like the circuits here, and I like the Ferrari on this tracks. It's the first time for me to drive with a Ferrari, and yeah, it feels good.
Yeah, it seems to go very well for yourself. And next up, we've got Road Atlanta. It's sort of known as one of the best driver circuits in the world. Are you a fan of the S's and that entire complex?
A fan is a big word. I drive on every circuit as fast as I can, and for me, I got some issues with my turn around on some tracks, but I try to avoid that and keep a good pace, so we see what happens in Atlanta.
Absolutely. We wish you the best of luck for that one. Is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to, Jeremy?
I want to thank my mom and my dad. They try every week. They stay focused to the races, and thanks for that, for the support. And to everyone else that I forgot, sorry, but I thank you for every support I get. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks for having a chat with us, Jeremy. Best of luck that you can keep up this amazing run of form. Best of luck.
Thank you. Good night.
Jeremy de Boyver there, once again your amateur race 2 winner, at least tonight. I think across the entire meeting, I think he will be the highest point scorer. So really good work from him to be able to really reap in those points. Probably not going to be the championship for him, but still a fantastic run of form. That's pretty much it for us then tonight for this stream. And well, big thanks to SDK Gaming for providing our overlays, for Apex Racing Academy, for Virtual Racing School for offering their support. Of course, links to them in our description below. Of course, we will hopefully have Mr. Tim Cox, who's not invisible. He is genuinely not here, and hopefully we'll see him back though in 2 weeks' time when we visit Road Atlanta. It's a week's break for us in the Apex Racing League GT3 trophy, but we'll be back in just a short period of time. So thanks for joining us, and hopefully you have a great rest of your evening.
Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best you